Women of Enlightenment for her resilience and work in academia, which has created knowledge, built confidence, and broken down barriers to opportunities. In July 2022, she was recognized by Glitz Africa as the Ghana Woman of the Year for Excellence in Education. Her recognition by the Head of State's award scheme in December 2023 further acknowledges her excellence in education, leadership, and gender empowerment. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you
Acting Executive Director, Africa Academy of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Laurent Bouchero, Minister Delegation to the AU, Professor Godna Wandari, Pro-Vice Chancellor for Academic and Student Affairs. I haven't seen Pro-Vice Chancellor for Research, Innovation and Development, but we are expecting him, Professor Felix Ankuma Asante. Provost Deans and Directors, as well as heads of departments who are present, partners in science and innovation, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pride and immense pleasure that I welcome you all to the University of Ghana to the opening of the Arise SD Scientific Conference. We are honored to host this landmark event at the University of Ghana in line with our commitment to academic excellence, innovation, and global collaboration. The theme of this convening, Unpacking the Pact for the Future, Imperatives for Advancing Scientific Cooperation with Africa, is not only timely but deeply aligned with our university's aspirations. The African Research Initiative for Science Excellence and Sustainable Development, ARISE SD, in partnership with the African Academy of Sciences, the African Union, and the European Union, is a shining example of what can be achieved when we invest in African talent, foster cross-border collaboration, and prioritize inclusive, sustainable development. At the University of Ghana, our vision is to achieve global impact through innovative research, teaching and learning, employing a technology-driven and a people-centered approach. And our mission is to create an enabling environment that makes the University of Ghana increasingly relevant to national and global development through cutting-edge research, high-quality teaching, and impactful service. This vision and mission is supported by a 5-year strategic plan focusing on 5 strategic priorities, which are transformative student experience, impactful research, commitment to our faculty and staff, engagement and partnerships, and sustainable resource mobilization and stewardship. The ARISE SD initiative aligns strongly with our second strategic priority, impactful research, as well as our commitment to engagement and partnerships, which is the 4th strategic priority. These priorities guide our efforts to foster interdisciplinary research, strengthen innovation ecosystems, and build partnerships that transcend borders. Our research strategy, led by Professor Felix Asante, Pro-Vice Chancellor for Research, Innovation and Development, emphasizes innovation, knowledge transfer, and capacity building. It is designed to position the university as a hub for research that addresses Africa's most pressing challenges, from climate resilience and food security to digital transformation and public health. We are proud to be home to several distinguished fellows of the African Academy of Arts and Sciences. And I can mention Emerita Professor Isabella Kwache, who is also president of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, our own Chancellor, Mrs. Mary Chinri-Hesse, Professor Andrew Anthony Ajay of the University of Ghana Medical School, and the two newly elected fellows from here, Professor David Dodu Ahen and Professor George Enyima Ama. I'm also especially proud of one of our own, Dr. Edem Mahu, who serves as an ARISE Fellow and continues to contribute meaningfully to the advancement of ocean science, sustainability, and Africa's blue economy. In addition, the University of Ghana is proud to have fellows in the African Postdoctoral Training Initiative. And these include Dr. Rita Efriye Boateng, Dr. Henrietta Mensah Brown, Dr. Irene Owusu Donko, and Dr. Nanama Emisa. It's interesting they are all females. As we begin this important conference, let us be reminded that the challenges we face, climate change, health inequalities, food insecurity, and digital divides, are complex and interconnected. They demand not only scientific excellence, but also bold partnerships, visionary leadership, and a shared sense of responsibility. I encourage all participants to engage deeply, collaborate boldly, and envision impactful solutions that will shape the next decade of Africa's scientific journey and development. On behalf of the University of Ghana, I extend my warmest welcome once again and gratitude to the African Academy of Sciences, the ARISE SD program, and to all our partners. I wish you all a productive and inspiring conference. Thank you, and once again, welcome to the University of Ghana. And I do acknowledge the Secretary General of ARUA, who has just walked in, Professor Johnny Japon. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Prof. Amfo. Our next speaker is Dr. Obed Ogega, who is a climate scientist and program management specialist focused on research capacity strengthening for development in response to Africa's development needs and priorities. He's a programs manager at the African Academy of Sciences, leading a team that is working towards the creation of critical mass of emerging and established research leaders who deliver what Africa wants, as envisioned in Africa's Agenda 2063. One of the programs under his docket is the African Research Initiative for Scientific Excellence, through which 44 research groups in 38 countries across Africa are supported to implement cutting-edge research. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Dr. Obed Ogega.
Thank you very much, Awini. The Vice Chancellor, Professor Nana Amfo, Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Madam Peggy Oti Boateng, Executive Director of the African Academy of Sciences, Dr. Cephas Mensah, the Director at the Ministry of Education, Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Ghana. All protocols observed, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to stand before you this afternoon to also share in the process of being part of this tremendous journey that we started in the year 2021, what we call the African Research Initiative for Scientific Excellence and Sustainable Development. Now, we gather here at the University of Ghana and at the Accra International Conference Center in the next few days to celebrate the far that we've come, but also chart our way forward as we try to facilitate the generation of science to inform sustainable development in Africa and beyond. So colleagues, because of time, I would like to invite the next few colleagues to join the podium. And I would like to start with Madam Peggy Oti-Boateng, who is our Executive Director. If you may just sit, take your seat. I would also like to call Dr. Cephas. Please, if you may also join the podium. And next will be Dr. Doyin Odubanjo, the International Science Council representative. And also Dr. Ibuden Adewumi, who is the UNESCO International Ocean IOC Subcommission for Africa and the adjacent island states. Dr. Ibukun. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, as informed, the African Academy of Sciences turns 40 years this year, and Madam Peggy Oti-Boateng, our Executive Director, will be telling us about what that is all about. But among the initiatives that we celebrate today is the African Research Initiative for Scientific Excellence, ARISE, which we are hoping to grow into a full program. We started in 2021 as a pilot. So the African Academy of Sciences, together with its partners, the African Union and the European Union, decided in 2020 to establish a platform or an initiative that mobilizes resources to support the generation of cutting-edge research while strengthening individual capacity, institutional research capacity, but also making available the scientific evidence that we need to inform development. So inspired by the aspirations of the joint African Union EU vision and the innovation agenda that was established in 2023, the African Academy of Sciences then established a pilot phase of ARISE, as we know it today. The idea being that we want to generate that critical mass of scientific leaders that will help us deliver the Africa we want as envisioned in Agenda 2063. So since 2021, we've been working with partners like the African Union Commission, and Professor Madugu is here today. You'll be hearing from Commissioner Ama, who is the Acting Commissioner for the Education, Science, Technology and Innovation from the African Union side. We have colleagues from AUDA NEPAD, we have colleagues from the European Union, as well as our researchers, some of which are here today and a few connecting with us online, together with the host institutions like the University of Ghana and other institutions in about 38 countries on the continent, so that we embarked on a journey that is supposed to help us transform how knowledge is generated on the continent and applied to inform policy and practice on the continent. So over the next 3 days, we'll be hearing from some of our pioneer researchers through the ARISE program, showcasing what they've been able to achieve over the last 3 years, but also we'll be engaging in conversations and discussions to help us more or less set the agenda for the next phase of our programming. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Dr. Peggy Oti-Boateng, our Executive Director, to introduce the African Academy of Sciences in brief, but also show us the way forward in terms of where we want to go with our ISSD. Madam Edie, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Obed. And thank you very much for hosting us. Honorable Vice Chancellor, I say honorable because she is the first female VC of this premium university, and we're so proud of it. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. And I say this because it started just as a discussion a few months ago, and she challenged us, and she said, well, if you're going to have a RISE program, I'm prepared to host it. And then Mr. Sifas Ajay Mensah also said, well, why not? The Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation will also want to partner. Then it grew even bigger. Then the government of Ghana, under the leadership of President Mahama, said, why not? This is the time for Africa, especially with the challenges of the geopolitics. Why don't we come together? Why don't I invite a few of my African presidents to come as champions, to leading science, as a public good, but also science as core to the sustainable development of the country. So distinguished guests, colleagues and friends, ladies and gentlemen, as part of this program, we also have our governing council members. They have traveled all over the place to come and be with us. So can I have a hand of the governing council members? Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, Professor Raja. Thank you, I got Professor Monavo. Thank you very much, for, helping us to host it. But I don't want to embarrass my colleague, the Pro-Vice Chancellor for UG. He has been a recipient of one of many, of our fellowships. And we're so proud of him because, as part of AAS mentorship, now we have even created a vice chancellor of the premium university. So thank you very much, Prof. Yeah, but not only that, we also have our new fellows and, our vice chancellors and all the others that we collaborate with. But we're also very happy that we have our collaborators, the AU and the EU. Distinguished colleagues and guests, this afternoon we want to we're bringing it together under the ARISE program, but it's the beginning, of a lot of discussions, and I extend my heartwarm appreciation to each one of you for making time to join us to discuss this important topic and theme, unpacking the Pact for the future, imperatives for advancing scientific cooperation with Africa. And we're doing this at a critical moment, and we take this opportunity to reflect, but also to dialogue and take action. Because a lot of the times you do these things, we don't take action. So allow me again to appreciate the government of Ghana, here being represented by our colleague, Dr. Ajay Mensah, the African Union, AU-ASRIC, and our value partners, including EU and AfroChampions, who is partnering with us, for this invaluable cooperation in making this conference a reality. We also acknowledge the broader community of funders, scientists, and institutional leaders who continue to champion the cause of science in Africa and also beyond. This conference is not just a gathering. It is a purposeful convenience of minds and missions, inspired by global momentum, stirred by the Muscat Declaration on Global Science and galvanized through flagship program. And we're pleased to have, a representative from the International Science Council, where the Muscat Declaration, was held this year. But it also, is an initiative which is more than just a program of the African Academy of Sciences, but it's a Pan-African movement to place science, technology, and innovation at the heart of our continent, and also at the heart of, driving the Africa agenda, the Africa we want. Today, We will explore 3 thematic frontiers, and we're happy that the Vice Chancellor has indicated that their strategic plan also has anchors in some of the areas that we're also looking at. Global health. I know your premium in global health. We know Gucci, and we also have some of our tea, where Africa-led science is transforming not just regional, but global health landscape in Africa. Kenya, South Africa, it's here, Namibia, Egypt, Morocco, Madagascar, all over, they're driving. But how do we make this resilient? And I always say that there's a huge sum of money in climate science and climate financing, but Africa is not there. How do we make sure that we're also able to mobilize some of the global funding that is there? The third is digital transformation and innovation, which holds the power to leapfrog legacy gaps and create an inclusive knowledge economy. Again, it varies in Africa. We are at different stages of it, but how do we again take advantage of this global imperative? So in each of these areas, we are proud to spotlight the work of the ARISE-supported researchers who are advancing the frontiers of Africa's science, and we have them in our midst. These are scientists who are not only generating knowledge, but also applying it to solve real challenges, from disease surveillance to food security, innovation, and AI-driven solution. This meeting is also carries a wider global significance. As many of you are aware, the discussion here in Accra will culminate into a meeting presented G20, led by our own president of South Africa. This is a unique opportunity for Africa to articulate a strong, coherent voice on science, financing, governance, partnerships that are grounded in equity, mutual respect, and shared benefit. And I really acknowledge Professor Aite, who is driving this area of equity in science. They are here to be part of this discussion. So, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, this meeting is not only through collaborative ecosystem. It is connecting scientists to policymakers, innovators to investors, and Africa to the world, that we can build resilient research systems that deliver for the people and planet and for the Africa we want. That is what ARISE seeks to achieve. We want to reimagine the model for African-led, globally and connected scientific progress. And this is what the young, mid-career researchers have done, and we want to showcase them, because most of the time we don't celebrate, our own scientists. But this, meeting, which is a 3-day meeting, provides us with the opportunity to do that. So, distinguished guests, I call on all of us to embrace this moment with purpose and ambition. Let us listen. There are 2 L's and 2 C's. Let us listen, let us learn, let us challenge each other, but more importantly, let us collaborate across all borders, disciplines, across all perspectives, and across knowledge, divide. Let this convening ignite a new era of scientific cooperation that places Africa at the forefront of sustainable global progress. So once again, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Madam Vice Chancellor, in the collaboration with you, we welcome everybody to UG, to Ghana, and I wish you all a productive, inspiring, and action-driven meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Oti Boateng. And now I'd like to call upon Dr. Cephas Mensah, who is the Director, Research, Statistics and Information Management at the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, to give his opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Obed, Vice Chancellor, the Executive Director, Africa Academy of Sciences, the Council, members of the university community, our international partners and collaborators who have come from far and near to join us here for this ARISE Scientific Conference, Madam Karen Lips from IASA, colleagues, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. The Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology is pleased to be associated with African Research Initiative for Scientific Excellence Program, and for today specifically for the scientific conference. As has been indicated, tomorrow and the following day, His Excellency the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, will have the opportunity to open the conference at the Accra International Conference, where he has invited some of his colleagues within the sub-region to be able to look at how Africa look at research thinking and also investments in research. Particularly as a ministry, the ministry is a granting council. One of the things that we keep on doing, and which all Ghanaians want to hear, is about how governments in this commitment to be able to make sure that we have our research fund running. I do recall my senior year, Professor Wandari was my senior at the biochemistry department here at the University of Ghana. At the time when he was leaving, he came back to meet us for his MPhil and completed 2002. I remember very well at the department. And it's not for a mistake that at the University of Ghana, all your two pro-vice chancellors are also other DS. And so it's something that I must also remark on it very well. Let me say that the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology has one key issue that I want to bring to the fore so far as the research community is concerned. We are happy when we are able to network within the international community to make funding available for our researchers, not only within our public space, private, and also the linkages for us to conduct research that translates into policies. Over the years, through our Science Granted Councils Initiative, as you are aware, the Science Granted Councils Initiative is an initiative of Sub-Saharan Africa, which is made up of 17 countries. To the east of Africa, we have Tanzania, Uganda, we have Rwanda, we have Ethiopia, and we have Kenya. Then to the western part of Africa, we have Ghana, we have Sierra Leone, we have Nigeria, we have Cote d'Ivoire, we have Burkina Faso, and then we have Senegal. Then the southern part of Africa, we have countries, we have Zambia, we have Mozambique, we have Malawi, we have Botswana, and also we have Mozambique, forming in Namibia, the other country within our southern part. The main aim of the Granting Council is simple: to be able to strengthen African research institutions, to be able to fund and manage research that inure to the benefit of our country, especially deepening science, technology, and innovation. And over the years, some of the thematic areas that we have been able to look at has been able to be very impactful, and also has enabled these granting councils to be able to give out funding. One key thing is that it has enabled African governments to be able to up their commitment in research through co-creation, transdisciplinary research, interdisciplinary, and also the need to make sure that we rally each and every one of us together, no country left behind initiative, so that we'll be able to achieve some of the regional policy issues, TISA 2024, the African Union Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, and also other international things. We are quite grateful to the European Commission through Horizon Europe for this particular initiative that today we are looking at the scientific aspect. We all know that impactful research must inform the development of policy and drive innovation across sectors. And so government is therefore prioritizing investment not just in funding, but in building systems and partnerships that can amplify the outcomes of research. One critical area we must all turn our attention to is data harmonization. Data harmonization. Currently, Ghana lacks a centralized and integrated research data systems. Without an harmonized data system, it becomes very difficult to track research outputs, measure results, or link science to what? To policy and research, which is a very need for our RISE program that we are looking over here. In that vein, we need to continue to have research networks focusing on the need for us to work together. And let me say on behalf of the ministry and other minister that this scientific workshop was very timely and aligned with Ghana's aspirations for integrating science, technology, and innovation, and also the need for us to look at inclusivity in the way we do our things. Let us, all of us here, not only be informed on the need, but be inspired to form competitive proposals and also deliver research that makes a difference within our country. And on these notes, we are grateful to be part of this initiative, and we look forward to engaging all of you and also inviting you for tomorrow and the following day at the Accra International Conference as we continue our dialogue in this particular initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cephas. And in January of this year, in Muscat, Oman, the international science community gathered under the auspices of the International Science Council. Scientists, academies like the African Academy of Sciences, governments and friends of science gathered in that meeting in Oman to deliberate on the future of science. So hosted under the Muscat Global Knowledge Dialogues, a declaration was made called the Muscat Declaration on Global Science. And today we are privileged to have Dr. Doyin Odubanjo, who is an International Science Council governing board member and also executive secretary of the Nigerian Academy of Sciences, who is going to introduce the International Science Council, but also share his thoughts and perspectives in terms of how we can unpack the future together through science. So it gives me pleasure to introduce Dr. Doyin Odubanjo. A round of applause for him. Okay.
All right, good afternoon. I think it's still, okay, great. Good. So good afternoon, ladies. Hello, good afternoon. Yeah. I'm trying to make sure you're still there because it's quite quiet in the room, you know. So, but it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to see you all. And according to the schedule I was given, I actually have no minutes left, you know, to speak. So I'll really try to be rather fast with this one. But good afternoon, Madam Vice Chancellor and the leadership of the university, the Executive Director of the AAS, and I will move on with the protocols or from the protocols after that, actually because I can't remember them, you know, not really because of time. But as it is, so I stand here representing the International Science Council, which is presided over by Sir Professor Peter Glockman, who was also the formerly Chief Science Advisor to the government of New Zealand before becoming President of the ISC. And I'm presenting on this, mobilizing science as a global public good, and I'm taking off from, or basically taking off and landing on the Muscat Declaration. Muscat is in Oman, and the start of the year, there's what we call the Muscat Declaration, which concluded that science is a universal endeavor that can act as a positive force to bridge divides, foster trust, and catalyze collective action on shared global challenges at multiple levels. Well, part of the Muscat, it was part of the Muscat Knowledge Dialogue. There have been several knowledge dialogues conducted by the ISC around the world. I think there was one in Africa, held in South Africa, Cape Town, about 2 years ago. And so this was an outcome of the Knowledge Dialogue and Third General Assembly of the ISC. The ISC is not as new as it seems, but it's actually a merger of the International Council for Science Unions and the International Social Science Council. And that merger took place around 2016 or so, and that's why you have this as part of the Third General Assembly of the new organization now known as the International Science Council. And this meeting held in January 2025, the declaration was open during that period for comments and consultations, and it's actually a declaration by plus or minus 250 science organizations. It also aligns, I must say, with the ISC's own strategic framework or strategic plan, if you wish, for 2025 to 2028. Well, so that said, it's important to say what the ISC itself is. Loosely defined, it's an umbrella body for science unions, and national science bodies like academies, national or international science bodies, governing bodies like academies, but it's the global umbrella body for these organizations. And its vision is to have science as a global public good, with the mission to be the global voice for science. So the membership of the ISA speaks to that umbrella nature that I spoke about. It has 142 national and regional scientific organizations, which includes academies and research councils as members. It has 45 international scientific unions and associations, which cuts across the natural and the social sciences. It has 14 affiliated bodies, including research programs and scientific committees and data bodies. And it has 70 international affiliates, which includes organizations like the World Academy of Sciences, International Institute for Applied Systems Analysis, and more recent times, I'm sure about many people have heard of the Global Young Academy. Well, the Muscat Declaration was quite preemptive. It spoke basically to the future, because current events are proven. But that declaration was important. And in fact, to the left of the slide there, you have another statement just released by the ISA last week, talking about the nature of international scientific collaboration, that it's very crucial, it's very vital, yet it's also still very vulnerable, as events have proven. So extracting from the Muscat Declaration, we find that it states that we need to defend and promote the free and responsible practice of science. And under that, you have all of those points. We have to advance the right to participate in and benefit from science. We have to support the protection of science ecosystems and scientists who are in emergency and conflict settings. We have to support the free, safe, ethical, equitable, and accountable conduct of science. It also says that we need to stimulate and support international inter- and transdisciplinary science. And again, under that, we're talking about taking a holistic approach that integrates formal and applied sciences in addressing complex global challenges. It's calling upon funding organizations and other philanthropic entities and leading scientific institutions to take proactive steps in supporting science and capacity building for science. And thirdly, actively supporting initiatives like the International Polar Year, like the UN Decades for Science, like Cryospheric Sciences and Ocean Sciences. So thirdly, the Muscat Declaration says we need to contribute to the fair evolution of science systems. So we have to engage across stakeholders to provide expert guidance on the transformation and reform of science systems. Promoting a transformation in the higher education institutional environment, and there has to be critical evaluation of the potential impacts of things like artificial intelligence and other emerging technologies. What's their potential impact on science and education systems? We have to have critical evaluations of those. Additionally, the Muscat Declaration talks about advocating for the value of science and evidence in policy and decision making, and also lastly promote the use of science diplomacy to advance the common good and address global challenges. Well, so trying to break that down and link to the global south and especially Africa, when you talk about the Muscat Declaration and how does that apply to us, we'll always come across those perennial problems and challenges that we always talk about. And those problems or those issues must be addressed in order for us to be able to practicalize, the Muscat Declaration and those are things like, how do we align science and policy? How do we ensure proper alignment for science and policy? And not to say that this doesn't apply in the more developed parts of the world. The challenges are still there. How do you align science and policy? How do we increase investment in inclusive scientific communities? How do you manage data? The data management systems. How do you get the data processed, analyzed, and who owns the data? Capacity building, we talk about it and we'll keep talking about it. And of course, we talk about how do you create conditions that are conducive for knowledge exchange. Those are the key issues there. I think in the AS conference here, and we're talking about the Pact for the Future, and I'm talking about the Muscat Declaration, I'm hoping that you arrive at the same conclusion, which is that basically there's this very strong alignment between the Pact for the Future and this ISA strategic direction / the Muscat Declaration. I'm hoping that you can see the same as that, and you can raise the question. But for the ISA point of view, the question is, how can we support members to achieve all of the goals that the declaration talks about? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Doyin. And now to conclude this session, I would like to invite Dr. Ibukun Adewumi from the UNESCO IOC Subcommission for Africa and Adjacent Island States to bring some of the discussion we're having into action and how we can make interventions for the greater good of the continent and the world in general. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. My name is Ibukun Adewumi, and I'm the head of the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission, Subcommission for Africa and the Adjacent Island States. Let me begin by expressing deep appreciation to the African Academy of Sciences, the government of Ghana, and our valued colleagues for bringing us together under one roof. At this pivotal moment, I also wish to acknowledge the African Union and the European Union for the foresight in convening this bold and timely platform for dialogue and action. Let me also confess that I'm well aware that ocean science may seem like the odd cousin, particularly at this kind of family reunion of African science. The ocean is vast. So vast, in fact, that many of us haven't quite figured out where it begins, particularly in our work, or where it fits our budget as a country. And also speaking about feeling of out of place, as is often in this case, I find myself once again in the youngest on the podium among such distinguished and seasoned leaders. And I've actually come to accept it. It's either my fate or perhaps the ocean just keeps me looking young. But in any case, I want to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, that Africa is, in every sense, an ocean continent. Africa is bordered by 3 major oceans with 38 coastal and highland states and a maritime domain of more than 13 million square kilometers. That is nearly 90% of Africa's trade moves by sea, and by 2100, over 60% of its population will reside in coastal zones. And yet, our ocean is not just a body of water. It is our regulator. If you look at the connection between ocean and the climate systems, it is our conveyor, our provider, looking at the immense ecosystem services that the ocean offers. It shapes rainfall, sustains fisheries, supports economies, and holds the key to our climate resilience. Ocean science is not just about research and not just about deploying the state-of-the-art equipment for ocean observation or research vessels or remote sensing. It's about laying the foundation for how we feed our people, how we move our goods, how we power our homes and protect our coast. And nowhere is this more visible or more urgent than in the blue economy. And I really appreciate the organizers of this event for coming up with this very robust title for this particular keynote. So without the ocean, ladies and gentlemen, our blue planet, our blue continent remains a myth. If we are serious about sustainable blue economy, we also must invest in knowledge-driven future for the continent. We must also move from the periphery to the core of our cooperation, our financing decision, our innovation and ecosystem, if we want to really attain a sustainable blue economy. But advancing the blue economy requires a solid foundation of ocean knowledge, which includes real-time data, strong institutions, cross-border cooperation, and homegrown innovation. And without science, the blue economy that we so much need would risk being extractive. But with science, it can become regenerative, equitable, and transformative. So today I speak to you not just merely as someone that works within the ocean space or someone representing a UN organization. I also want to speak to you as an African, as someone who knows the ocean, not only through the instruments and charts, but as an ancestry and as a story, as struggle, and above all, as hope. So I want to believe that this convening is grounded in the spirit of the Pact for the future, and it's a strategic moment to reimagine partnership across discipline and across sectors. Let me start with also letting you know that for centuries, the African people were navigators, were shipbuilders, were traders and custodians of the sea. That is a fact. From the Swahili coast to the Senegalese river, from the Malagasy seafarers to the inland water culture of the Niger Delta and Lake Victoria, the ocean was not a barrier at all. It was a bridge, and yet it also, from this same water, that millions of our people were ripped away, carried through the Middle Passage in chains, living in trauma, diaspora, and silence. Africa, as it is today, is surrounded by ocean, like I mentioned, but we are starved of knowledge. We are navigating blindfolded into a future of rising seas, intensifying cyclones, dying fisheries, and the disappearing coastlines because of coastal erosion. And this is not a distant threat. It is happening right now, and without action, the consequences will be catastrophic. Just let me paint a glimpse of what the reality is as of today when we look at ocean science. So Africa countries only contribute 1.3% of global scientific publication in ocean science. We host only 3 of the world's 100 plus Category 2 centers, UNESCO Category 2 centers, and fewer than 5% of the world's operational ocean buoys are in African waters. Africa contributes just 2% of global ocean science investment. Only 12 African countries have designated marine scientific research institutions with consistent funding. And this is not just a gap, it is a developmental emergency. We cannot really build the blue economy on shallow data, on weak and with weak system and fragmented knowledge. If Africa is to unlock the $405 billion that has been estimated to be the potential of the blue economy by the year 2030, then ocean knowledge must be treated not as a luxury, but an existential infrastructure that the continent needs to embark. Just by concluding, because I've been told that my time is up, I believe that we must face this truth. And we will not meet the Agenda 2063, we cannot meet the Paris Agreement or the SDGs if we do not know use and protect our ocean. The ocean is not an add-on to development, it is development itself. And until we start looking at it from that perspective, we can then have the fortitude and the foresight to develop 21st century ocean development. And the window is actually narrowing. We are almost just about 5 years into the Agenda 2030, 5 years into completing the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. And again, we would like to see that our ocean is used to secure jobs, to provide food security, climate resilience and peace and power. But I would like to urge us that we need to harness also our youth population, our diaspora, our traditional knowledge, which should be integrated into contemporary sciences. For far too long, we have neglected the fact that the knowledge produced by our indigenous people, by our headers and leaders, are not really integrated into scientific outputs. And this is one of the weakest links that we have in reaching sustainable ocean development. So in conclusion, I want to mention that ocean science is not a luxury for Africa. It is a developmental imperative. It underpins disaster risk reduction, marine biotechnology, climate forecasting, maritime security, and economic innovation. And without it, the blue economy that we are yearning for will remain a myth. With it, we gain sovereignty over our ocean and over our future. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Because of time, I would suggest that we defer the Q&A session until later, so that we can invite the next session, and then we'll have an opportunity to ask questions to the panelists. Another round of applause for the panelists, please. Thank you very much. You may take your seats. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Winnie, for the next session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Obed. Grateful for your time, Dr. Peggy Otibuatin, Executive Director, AAS, Dr. Sefa Sejay-Mensah, Director Research at MESTI, Dr. Doreen Odubanjo, and Dr. Ibikun Adewemi, forgive me. We'll move on to the next session, which is on global health. And to chair this session for us, I'd invite Professor David Onyango of the Maseno University, Kenya. Professor David Onyango is a leading researcher in the area of cell biology and molecular science. His research focuses on microbial molecular biology and environmental microbiology, particularly antimicrobial resistance, bacterial biofilm formation, and water quality assessment in aquatic ecosystems. He has published several papers and is actively involved in the supervision of postgraduate students in microbiology, public health, and aquatic ecology. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the chair for this session, Professor David Onyango. Thank you very much. I'd invite Professor Martin Nyaga to give us a keynote for this session. Professor Nyaga is a B-rated NRF researcher, and is the head of the University of the Free State Next Generation Sequencing Unit within the School of Biomedical Sciences, and is the unit's principal researcher since its inception in 2016. Professor Nyaga's research investigates the long-term effects of the introduction of monovalent RV1 vaccine in 5 African countries, namely Cameroon, Ghana, Malawi, Kenya, and South Africa. Through African Enteric Virus Genome Initiative and the sequencing of the antigenic cartography of enteric viruses. He's a team lead of studies on metagenomics of gut and respiratory virome funded by grants from the South African Medical Research Council. He was nominated by the Africa Pathogen Genomic Initiative of African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to strengthen multi-pathogen sequencing and bioinformatics capacity of emerging and re-emerging diseases and genomic surveillance of pathogens of public health importance in Africa. He collaborates with numerous local and international associates and has published over 70 peer-reviewed articles in international journals. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Martin Nyaga. Now, to moderate this session for us, I'd invite Professor Christopher Mwani. Professor Mwani will give us his extensive introduction himself. A round of applause, please.
Thank you very much. I am Professor Christopher Mwani from University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Because of time, I will not go far. Just take me like that. We thank God for that. I want to call on our ARISE fellows. Maybe it accommodates them. Okay. Okay. Before we call the ARISE fellows, the chairman will give us a brief introduction and then we'll start from there. Chairman.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Why are we quiet? We should be happy in a conference where you are given chance to speak about yourself. So, should be happy. Madam Vice Chancellor, all protocols observed. I thank the lady who introduced me. She did a wonderful job. And here I am to take it off. We want to talk about global health. And before I start on global health, while I was traveling yesterday from Kenya to Ghana, it is my first time to be in Ghana. It took me 5 hours and I was wondering why 5 hours. But then when I read about something regarding the aspect of science. I read about a 12 years Ghanaian girl having developed an app that helps farmers to link, to get themselves to the business fraternity. So at 12 years old, and I was like, 12 years, and yet we are still saying that we are still telling ourselves that we are transforming Africa into a knowledge-based and innovative continent. We are transforming Africa into a knowledge-based and and innovation continent. Why are we transforming Africa into a knowledge-based? Yet we have got a 12 years girl who has already developed an app. So, like one of our president of AAS said last year, that we have stayed on the runway for long, so we should be taking off. This lady helping us taking off. So not much ado, I want to, sorry for that, Secretariat. I thought I needed to say that because it adds value to what we are doing here. I'm just go on. I'm supposed to bring on board our keynote speaker. And the keynote speaker is going to talk to us about an aspect of as we know. We have it that this session explores the critical imperatives for advancing scientific cooperation in global health with and across Africa. The Africa continent battles long-standing and emerging diseases, epidemics, and health inequities with vast under-resourced system posing persistent operational challenges. International collaboration in research, innovation, and capacity building is essential to address the challenges in global health. And so the discussion should highlight strategies to strengthen partnership between Africa and global health institutions, enhance data sharing, support local research leadership, and ensure equitable access to health innovation. So emphasis will be placed on sustainable financing, pandemic preparedness, and translating research into policy and practices. Without much ado, ladies and gentlemen, help me to welcome on board Professor Michael Nyaga to give a keynote address. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Onyango, for that introduction. Today, I will talk about advances, opportunities, and opportunities for global health in Africa. I'm struggling with this. Somebody can help? Okay, sure. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, Africa has made significant progress in global health. However, we need to understand that strategic opportunities and critical priorities are still needed to define its future health landscape. Currently, Africa stands at a pivotal moment in the health journey, and we have witnessed remarkable progress, overcome immense challenges, and are now poised to redefine the future. This presentation today will briefly highlight the significant advances we've made, explore the unique opportunities before us, and also outline the critical priorities that will guide our collective efforts towards a healthier and sovereign Africa. Our goal is not just to address existing health burdens, but also to build resilient, self-reliant health systems that serve as a model for global health security. In terms of advances, notable tangible achievements currently demonstrate African growing capacity and resilience in global health. And despite the persistent challenges, Africa has achieved significant milestones, and we've seen notable decline in childhood mortality rates and also substantial progress against diseases such as HIV, AIDS, malaria, and also TB. The continent response to health crisis, particularly the coordinated efforts during the COVID-19 pandemic, showcased the growing scientific and public health capabilities, including rapid pathogen genomic surveillance. and investment in health infrastructure, those still needing growth, has expanded, which is a good signal towards a shift of greater self-reliance. And this progress is a testament to the dedication of African health workers, scientists, and also a strong political leadership, which raise a solid foundation for future endeavors. In terms of opportunities, Africa has immense unique advantages and emerging trends that it can harness for accelerated health progress. Africa's greatest asset is its youthful, dynamic population, which presents a demographic dividend that can drive innovation and health workforce development. And the rapid adoption of digital technologies offers unprecedented opportunities for e-health and also telemedicine, and enhances data sharing and correction, transforming healthcare delivery and surveillance. Our rich biodiversity and traditional knowledge systems provide fertile grounds for novel drug discovery and research, especially in areas of neglected tropical medicine. Growing regional integration and initiatives like the African CDC foster cross-border collaborations, enabling shared running and coordinated response of transborder health threats. The global recognition of African scientific leadership, particularly in genomics, opens doors for equitable partnerships that prioritize mutual benefits and co-ownership of especially data. In terms of priorities, several critical areas require immediate and sustained attention to achieve health sovereignty. First, to truly advance, we must prioritize sustained domestic investment in health research and development. Thus, we must reduce reliance of external funding and set our own research agendas. Capacity building remains paramount, as we hinted in previous talks, and investing in human capital through training, retraining of our talents, and also establishing state-of-the-art research infrastructure across the continent is very important. We also require equitable partnerships, which are non-negotiable. We must foster collaboration based on mutual respect, shared intellectual property, and African leadership, moving beyond traditional donor-recipient models. Strengthening of data sharing and harmonization platforms is crucial for evidence-based policy making and rapid response to outbreaks. And this is shown by the multiple maybe genomic surveillance initiatives that have been set across African countries. Finally, translating research into tangible health outcomes through robust implementation of science and community engagements ensures that scientific advancement directly benefits the population. In conclusion, there's a need for collective commitment to Africans' health future. The journey towards global health in Africa is a shared responsibility, but one that must be increasingly led by Africans for Africans. Our advances demonstrate our capability, our opportunities highlight our potential, and our priorities define our path forward. I urge all stakeholders, policymakers, international organizations, researchers, and communities to commit to a new era of science cooperation. Let us invest in Africa, science, empower African leadership, and build truly equitable and sustainable partnerships. A healthy, scientifically sovereign Africa is not just a regional aspiration, but it is also imperative for global health, security, and also for the well-being of all humanity. I thank you.
Thank you very much for your highlights. We want to call on the ARISE fellows so that they can use 5 minutes to highlight on their research. The first person we are calling here is Dr. Graham Hundit, ARISE fellow, University of Namibia. Put your hands together for him. The second person here is the second person on the list is Dr. Protus Tankang, a Rice Fellow, Institute of Medical Research and Plant Studies, Cameroon. Okay. If he's not there, we call Dr. Daniel Kibio, APTI Fellow, JKUAT Kenya. Put your hands for him. Dr. Leti Timon, a Rice Fellow, Institute Pasteur de Dakar, Senegal. Dr. Olivia Mansheba, APTI Fellow, Stellenbosch University, South Africa. Okay. So we